This video is going to be about old filament. But first, let me just say this. I found out yesterday that a dear friend of mine passed away. 40 years old. That is way too young, y'all. I mean, who would expect this, right? So my advice here, I'm urging you to please stop this video right now. Reach out to somebody. If there's someone you haven't talked to, a friend, family, somebody that, so here's my example. I haven't talked to Kreger for 6 months maybe, right? He's not mad. He wasn't mad at me. I'm not mad at him. We just got busy, I was injured. I had surgery. I just really wasn't reaching out to anyone. And that's what happens though. And before you know it, a huge chunk of time is gone. Life has a way of doing that. Everybody's so busy nowadays. But just take a moment, send a text, make a phone call, just set something up. Go have coffee, break some bread. Let the people know that you care about them still. You don't have to be in constant contact, but don't let time go without staying in touch with people, because at some point it's too late and you don't get to talk to that person and tell them what they mean to you. So if you're still watching this, let's get right into the filament. Have you ever wondered how old is too old when it comes to filament? I do, all the time. And I find myself searching Facebook Marketplace pretty frequently, a couple times a week, looking for deals on filament. Because I use a lot of filament, and who doesn't want a deal, right? But there's limits. When I'm searching the ads, I see Filament, which I think is fantastic filament. One of my favorite filaments is Filament. Filament and Polymaker are probably my two favorite filaments. But either one of those, if I see one of those, I don't care what it costs new. I'm basing it off of Elegoo filament, right? That I buy for $13 a roll, and it works great. So just because you have that name brand or what's considered a higher end filament, that doesn't mean that it's worth the high end price now that it's secondhand.
Is it, bro?
Because if there's a print issue, and let's say it's Overture, I reach out to Overture and say, hey, this filament's not working right. They'll probably send me a new roll. But if my filament is, 3 or 4 years old, they're not going to do that. No one's going to do anything for you. You're kind of on your own.
It's old technology. It's very old, like you.
In my searching for used filament, I came across 3 pretty good deals recently, and I'm going to be using those deals to make this video. This is the filament I got. I actually got a lot more than this. The first deal was a pretty large haul of Filament that was mostly PLA, some PETG, and some other rando silks and PLAs. The second one was a few rolls of Ninja Tech, Flex, Semi-Flex, it's this stuff here. Yeah, this is a Semi-Flex, Flex, and Ninja Tech TPU. I think that one came with a bunch of Overture also. The last deal I got was a really cool score. I got some really old Polymaker. I got some Polymaker PLA LW, which has this really cool finish. I'll show you that in a second. But it was made for a company called Type A Machines, and it's pretty cool. I got a few rolls of that. Very old stuff. I think that's from 2018. Anyways, I also got PC Max, PA6CF, and some stuff that's DuPont Hytrel. I don't know what that is. I probably should rewatch Zach Friedman's video because that's probably on there as a cursed filament. It was not easy to use. There's a couple other filaments I have yet to identify. I think there's one, I don't even know what it is or how to print with it yet. It seems pretty flexible and clear, but that's for another video. For this one, those are the filaments we're going to be working with. As you can see, I really used a lot of that filament. You print right off the front and it breaks and it's awful and terrible. But what about once you get in deeper, right? And these filaments change the deeper you go. So I really wanted to have a good idea of how these filaments behave and what is too old. So I went wild printing. And this is only a fraction of what I printed. I printed so much stuff. I put some hours on my machines. This is not going to be super scientific.
Not to burst your bubble, but it's not rocket science.
Basically, I printed a whole bunch of stuff with the filament that I bought. I printed actually a lot more than this. I've already given quite a bit of things away, but I wanted to see how the filament's going to act all the way through the roll, not just the first couple layers. So I'm going to show you the roll of filament that I used and then what I printed with that spool. Then we'll talk about, is it worth it to buy old filament? Let's take a look. This is the Polymaker PLA LW, and this stuff is so brittle and so stringy. Look at this. Now, you can clean it up, and once you clean it up, it looks pretty good, but this stuff is ugly. I love the finish once it's cleaned up, but it does take some work, and this is the most brittle filament I've ever handled in my life. It will just break if you look at it sideways. And this is some, I don't know if this is a mainstream brand or not, it's a silk, but it is just beautiful, not real stringy, and it prints nice. Next up, G-Tech. I've never heard of that brand. I think they sell it on Amazon. This stuff actually came out pretty good. And again, this is like 5-year-old filament, but look at that, that's nice. And I printed that on a Mark 3.5S. And this is Filament PLA Royal Blue. I printed this on the Centauri Carbon, and I did that because I wanted to max out the Z, and this came out great. I've done no cleanup to this. That is just how it printed. It looks beautiful. So these three filaments, all Filament, I made these 3 swords. They all came out perfect. So let's take a closer look here and see. And it's not, I mean, I say perfect, right? They're not actually perfect. There's some flaws. There's always flaws. It's 3D printing. But look at that. That is nice looking. Next up, we have some Polymaker PLA. And this stuff just worked. I think this is from 2019, and it just worked. No issues. No stringing. It's fantastic. But what do you expect, right? Polymaker is good filament. And you wouldn't expect much stringing on a print like this elephant. But there's been zero cleanup to these. And this is made for Prusa. It's not technically Filament, but look at this. And once again, so all the things I'm showing you, I have not cleaned up at all. And that came out looking fantastic. This is the cursed filament. Oh my God. I have to figure out how to print this. I tried and failed twice. Oh, see, that's a remnant of a Benchy. That's as far as I got. I mean, the bottom, it looked like it was starting out good, and then it just released from the bed. Then we have this Tolman 3D. This is a clear PLA, and it came out looking really nice. I tried to find out more info on it, like the age. I just couldn't find anything. The guys I bought this stuff from, though, the newest stuff they said they had was 5 years old. So this is at least 5 years old. And Filacube. So this filament, I hate this color, but look how nice it came out. Like, it printed so good. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it because I really don't like the color, but it just prints nice. It's very smooth, no stringing, looks good. And this Everyday PLA. Now this stuff is interesting because it says Everyday PLA, but this was made for Type A machines for this company that had these printers. And it's PLA, it's old, and look at that, no stringing. I mean, this just works. And then we have some orange. Same thing, same company, Everyday PLA, made for Type A machines. And you can look in the background here of these, the openings of these hexes, and it is pretty stringy here. So on the big sections, you're not going to see that stringiness, but on these little sections, you can see quite a bit of stringing. And this is the cursed Filament Miss Pink PLA. This stuff is just, it turned. Look at that, the in between the horns on that dragon, that is some ugly stuff there. That is rougher than the stucco bathtub, I'll tell you that. And this is after it was dried, and it looks a lot cleaner. And then I did one more. I did a big dragon, and that one also looks a lot better. Look at that. They're still stringing, just not as much. Well, I should say not as much as that first one. And then this is kind of a mixture of that pink we just showed you. This silver was from that Made For Prusa. Came out looking really good. All of this was made with that old material. Same with this Jeep. All the way down to those tires. Those tires are TPU. No issues. This white is that Polymaker white. It looks beautiful. That was a lot of filament and a lot of prints. And like I said, there was actually more than that. The video would be too long if I showed you everything. But I really wanted to get a good idea on how this stuff works. And I can tell you right now, this sword, really cool. Love this pink. Oh wait, this is what I mean. Not all old filament holds up. This looked like it was perfect. I mean, you can't see anything wrong with it. Well, now you can, it's cracked in half. But it literally, as I was trying to use it, it broke in my hands. These are also old filament. Same vintage, same brand. These are all Prusament PLAs. All these work. We're not gonna open all of them, but they all work. This one didn't. I think the big difference here is this was left out in the open. These were all sealed when I got them. Most of the Prusament I got was in sealed packages, but some of them wasn't. This is a good example. You can see the filament just fell all over the floor. As I'm trying to just open it, that is a roll of this stuff right here. The PLA LW, right? Cool filament, but it snapped. This was the end. The funny thing though, let's see if it'll do it. All right, it's brittle, brittle. Oh, this might be brittle all the way. All right, how about this side? Right there is where it snapped. Look at that. It still snapped. Sometimes you get them, like that's not snapping though. But right on the end it did. Oh, there it goes, there it snapped. So you get areas to where right here it's super flexible. Up here, it's super brittle. I don't know what causes that, but this is obviously one piece of filament. It was off one roll. It's very hit and miss what happens here. Yeah, like what caused this to snap right on the ends, but the rest of it is very flexible. That's the biggest problem you're gonna come across. I was able to still use this. Like this is still usable, not this little piece, but if I'm very careful, when I load it on certain machines, I was still able to use it. As far as the PLA goes, I feel like the PLA that was in the open, that was unsealed, is way more brittle and stringy. I mean, look at this. This was an open roll of PLA. That PLA LW though was sealed, but it is extremely old. The results are kind of hit and miss with the PLA. They are a lot more stringy. If you remember on that dragon, that pink dragon, that was pretty stringy. And then I went and dried it, and I dried it for the lowest setting on a poly dryer, like level 1, for 6 hours. I did that 3 different times, and it improved quite a bit. But if you see the second little dragon and this bigger dragon, there's still stringiness. And I feel like the PLA should not be that stringy. Next, the PETG. It seems like it was less affected by whether it was sealed or unsealed. Both of them just worked, and it worked pretty good. I don't think I had any of the PETG that was giving me severe breakage issues like this, right? Now PETG though is prone to stringing already, so I kind of already expect that from it. And I live in Northern California. The humidity here is pretty low year round, so that's less of an issue. But I don't know why, it just seemed like it held up better and it had less effect on it. And the last thing we'll go over, no, I guess two more here. This TPU. So this TPU is fantastic. And I think this is 2018 or 2019, it's right here. This is old stuff and it is amazing. This is the firmer of it. This one's pretty soft, but it's fantastic. There's some stringing, and I think that's kind of also indicative of TPU in general, right? But that stuff prints perfect. Last up, the Polymaker PC Max. Now, this was a tiny little spool and it was loosely wound. I was kind of worried about it being knotted up, not sealed, not in a package at all. It's been sitting open for years. It's very old. I think this is 2019 or 18. And I ran it in the dryer for a long time. I think I did 2 drying sessions at 24 hours each on the highest level of the Polybox. And then I just sent it. And I did this on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon and it came out great. There's like no stringing. I mean, I don't know. I really expected this to be a tougher print and it turned out fantastic. It's pretty cool. So what's my recommendation? I would say if you can get a really good deal on the filament, it might be worth it. But there's a couple things to consider. First, old filament will just break like this. When it gets super dried out, it will just snap and crumble. It's like spaghetti and it will just break off in your hands. So you need to have a bed slinger, an open printer. So I printed most of the stuff I was successful with here on the brittle filament. I did on a Prusa bed slinger and it worked perfect. I had very little issues. Some of this gave me some problems because it would just, like, look at it, it just would snap as I'm trying to load it down into the tool head. I mean, it's that brittle. I can't stress that enough. It's ridiculous. But if you have like a Core XY that's enclosed or open and you have a pretty straight filament path, you might be okay. But that's something to take into serious consideration. You can get a great deal on this filament like this. I got a whole bunch of rolls of this LWPLA Polymaker. And if I didn't have a bed slinger, I could not use it. Not even on something with a pretty straight path. I think it would just snap, you know? It's that brittle. The next thing would be warranty. If you get this stuff, let's say you buy some Overture and you have a printing issue, you can email Overture, tell them what the problem is. Same thing with Jessie. I've actually had a problem with Jessie and Polymaker. It turned out it was my settings, but I emailed them. They gave me some directions back. They asked for the lot number. One of the places, they just sent me a new roll. They gave me directions and just shipped me out a new roll. You're not going to get that with this. And if somebody has like this Prusa and they think, oh, it's Prusa, you should give me $25 a roll for it. There's no way, dude.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Not happening.
Because look at this. It's garbage. I mean, I made some things work, but it's bad. And I can't email Prusa and say, hey, this filament isn't working. And they're going to say, yeah, that's because it's 6 years old. It shouldn't work. There's something to be said about buying something that comes with a warranty. That's the second problem here, or the second thing you should be cautious of. To summarize, yeah, I think you can buy used filament and make it work. But I'm talking 50 cents on the dollar maximum from new. So if I can buy this roll of filament for $15, I want to give you $5 to $7 for it, tops. And if not, then I'll move on. I'll buy something else because I don't care if it's Prusa or I don't care if it's Polymaker, because I can buy this Elegoo for $13 a roll and it's perfect. And if there's a problem, I'm going to get a new roll sent to me. Whereas I can pay you $18 for your $25 roll and it turns out like this and I'm screwed. Yeah, it's a gamble because it might come out like this to where it's perfect. But you don't know unless you start printing with it. And I guarantee that person you buy it from, they're not going to have a return policy. That's it. You're done. So don't get sucked into, oh, this is Polymaker, you should give me top dollar. No. If you buy it, buy it cheap, use it quick, and make sure you have a machine that you're gonna use it on, that you think is gonna get the job done. Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby now sells filament, and it's pretty good. I've gotten a couple spools from them. Hold on, I got one right here. Let me show you. Right here. Hobby Lobby filament. So this is a brand new roll. This is black and pink. I don't know what this stuff costs though, like $14, $15 or something like that. Look at this. That is ridiculous. That's a bad mamma jamma right there. Dang. And it's cheap. It's not Prushiment. It's not $30 a roll, but it's brand new. And if there's a problem with it, I'm going to get it fixed. That's what I'm talking about. The Elegoo I buy, $13, $12 a roll, and it just works. No problems. You don't have to always use these crazy high-end filaments to get good prints. Sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need specialized stuff, a specialized color. Usually that's when you're selling it though. For the most of us, you can just get away with cheap filament and it works and it gets the job done. That's it. That's all I got. If you're still here, thank you. And please reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while, friend, family, loved one. Just let them know you're there. Get together. Don't lose connections with people. All right. This was for Kreger. Kreger, you were loved and you are missed, and you will be for a long time, brother.